Greetings, this is Jazz for JazReviews with a little something called Daylight, the new horror survival game made by Zombie Studios, available for PlayStation 4 and PC.
Of everything you can, the memories contained within these walls are waiting to be found.
What?
Situated in a lonely mental hospital, long abandoned out of the mysterious reasons yet undiscovered, is where our little adventure begins.
I know you're there.
Through the eyes of a female protagonist named Sarah, terrified of the horrors she will find within. In light of recent experiences found in Outlast and Slender, you can just about see all this inspiration shining through Daylight's development. Ironically enough though, this horror game is almost pitch black, and with only a smartphone to guide you through the shadows and unknown corridors. Following each checkpoint are the procedurally generated mazes, somewhat randomly created for the player. This means no one playthrough will ever be quite the same. A collection of remnant pages must be found in each area, to allow the player to collect the sigil used to unlock the next area. The randomly generated corridors do provide for fear of the unknown, yet such tunnels will always look the same. It is scary, but in essence a more linear, handcrafted approach should have been used. The glow sticks scattered throughout the facility indicate exactly which objects may contain these letters or diary entries that the player has to collect. And through reading these pieces, the narrative is given a little substance and insight into the questionable ongoings of the asylum staff and seriously deranged mental patients.
The memories will burn into your flesh. Don't let them see.
It's all very spooky, yet at the same time very cliché, but I'm not complaining. Through reading these clues and some arbitrary pages, a good feel for horror can be felt as you progress through the more treacherous sections.
Burning with anger, they reflect your disdain.
And as corny as some of the in-game weird dialogue could be, it really didn't take away from the experience. But when it comes down to it, this is a very simple page-hunting game, with the odd interaction segments like pushing crates and levers. That all came across as nothing but blatant filler. This kind of padding is nowhere near enough to warrant a full release. So far as I've described, this is the game's structure with not much else. But this is where the game may somehow save itself for those eager horror fans. Well, throughout your journey, boxes, cans and doors will suddenly drop and open out of nowhere. Sudden footsteps and scratching noises will completely throw the player into a state of petrified caution. The atmosphere is superb for a horror game. These audio snippets in themselves are quality.
I can't take any more of this.
Although I did find myself slightly unconvinced at times, whereby the protagonist's dialogue became a little inconsistent in relation to things going on around her.
I know there's somebody here.
But it's where the true danger lies that the game finds merit. Aided with Daylight's punchy and impactful sound design are the insanely swift teleporting ghost-type witches of the asylum. With very little warning, the supernatural beings will flip you around and attempt to get as close to the player's computer screen as possible. Their very presence will damage and kill the player, and whether or not you wanted to, these jump scare moments will shake you. I made sure to explore the game's many shadows in the same darkness of my own, at 4 o'clock in the morning and a blasting headset for full effect. This is the only way to play Daylight, which is something I feel a lot of reviewers will neglect to carry out, with only a handful of flares found to ward off the evil spirits. Running will often be the most scariest of encounters and escapes by far, and I think this footage does well to illustrate exactly how frantic it can be. In reality though, Daylight will be getting poor scores from critics. And aside from a nicely tuned horror atmosphere and scares, the game is lacking anything greater. Despite its procedurally generated mazes, Daylight falls into the trap of becoming even more repetitive and annoying due to its ill-spaced checkpoints.
Going to try to swim for it.
All in all, this is a very simple experience that had so much more potential. The game does open up towards the end, with very creepy forests and more varied open environments. But sadly that all came to an end for me, all rather abruptly. The new Unreal 4 engine for this title looks promising in terms of shadowing and lighting, yet it's certainly nothing as fancy in comparison to previous games on Unreal 3. As the first title using Unreal Engine 4, Daylight is in no way a benchmark of what is to come graphically. Based on my playthrough of around 3 hours on PC, I issue Daylight a 6 out of 10, which compared to some of the big name publications is quite generous. I'd look at Daylight as a decent indie game, guaranteed for a few scares, and actually may even be worth buying for horror fans. This has been Jazz for Jazz Reviews, with the all-new horror survival game that is Daylight. Yours now for the price tag of $15 on PlayStation 4 and PC. For future reviews, please locate the subscribe button and look for new reviews coming your way, such as Watch Dogs launching on the 27th of May. But until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the comments.